If you're overly grateful when someone has been doing something that they're supposed to do anyways, well, that's not gratitude. That's low standards wearing a nice outfit. You're not asking for too much. You've just been calling their bare minimum effort for way too long, my dear. And today I want to give you one simple test to make you tell the difference, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This is for that woman that has been told that she is too much, too intense, or she needs too much reassurance, and she started shrinking herself to make that stop. Well, the spoiler is that the problem was never that you needed too much, it's that you started measuring enough against the wrong bar. If you ever catch yourself being head over clouds for someone just for doing something that they should have just done, well, stick around. Next part is going to reframe this a lot. Subscribe if you're someone who wants the real talk on this subject, not just the soft affirmation version. So first of all, disclaimer. Of course, it's absolutely important to be grateful for everyone, for every single thing that you have in your life. But here we're speaking about something different. Here, with this video, I want to help you reframe how you think about the whole concept of low standards and bare minimum, so that you can actually raise your standards and start attracting what you really deserve in this life. So let's get into it. Here's the pattern I see constantly. Someone texts you back after days of silence and you feel relief instead of noticing the 3 days. Someone remembers your birthday, and that's a standard that it's basically on the floor, and you call it, oh well, you were so thoughtful. Then someone shows up for one important thing after missing 5 smaller ones, and suddenly he is really trying, right? None of that is effort. That's the bare minimum dressed up as effort because you stopped expecting the actual bar. Real self-respect isn't necessarily about demanding more. It's more about refusing to downgrade because someone is inconsistent about giving it. The version of you with actual standards doesn't feel grateful when someone finally texts them. She just expects to be texted back because that's the normal reality of who invests himself or herself into a relationship. So the first thing that you will be doing, it's texting back. It's something so normal, so easy. Yet some of you girls, you actually portray that like if it's the biggest thing a man can do for you, but that's absolutely not how it works. Here's is where we have to implement this new shift. Now I want to give you the bare minimum test. This is very interesting. I think you can do it alone, you can do it with your friends, and it will really help you. So let's dive into it. Here's the test I use. It's based on 3 questions, and you should ask them about any specific thing you've been calling effort lately. So the first question you gotta ask yourself, would I do this without being asked twice? If you wouldn't need to be asked twice to remember someone's important day, follow through on a plan, or check in when they're struggling, and he does this, well, that's not a green flag. That's just noticing the baseline, noticing the bare minimum, the lowest minimum, because he's so inconsistent with that normally. The second question is, well, am I explaining this away from him, but I'd call it a red flag for a friend of mine? Be very honest here. If your friend told you this exact story, would you say, wow, he's really trying? Or would you say like, girl, that's not okay? If it's the second one, you already know the answer. You're just protecting yourself from admitting it. Now, let's talk about the third question, which for me is the most important. Am I shrinking my needs in order to avoid seeming too much? If you've started pre-editing your own text, softening your own needs, or apologizing before you even ask for something reasonable, that's not you being easygoing. That's you managing someone else's inconsistency by making yourself smaller. And I mean, you're so intelligent, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, you pour so much energy into yourself in order to do what? In order to attract into your life someone who is treating you like that, someone who makes you feel smaller. So now I'll give you my personal example. I would feel grateful when someone would apologize after a fight, but not for what they actually did, just for finally reaching back, responding at all. after going quiet for days. I call that communication, but it wasn't. It was the absolute bare minimum, even lower than the bare minimum of basic decency. And that's where I noticed that I lowered the bar so much and that I was actually thanking someone for stepping over it. But then something changed, then something shifted. So here's your homework for this week. Think about some kind of action, some kind of behavior that you referred to with the word effort recently. Run it through the 3 questions that I presented you before, and if it fails with even one question, that's not you being too demanding, it's just pure information about what you have to do next. Self-respect is not a personality trait that you either have or don't have. It's just refusing to keep lowering the bar in order to match someone else's inconsistency. Comment bare minimum if thanks to these videos you realize that you've been doing this. The most important message that I want to leave you in this video is that we as women are such powerful creatures. We're mothers, we are caregivers, we are nurturers, we are creators. We have a lot of power and energy inside ourselves, and it's absolutely important for you to protect that energy, because other people can really suck this energy up from you with giving you this bare minimum behaviors, because you're gonna suffer from that, and you absolutely need to understand you deserve so much more. You keep on putting a lot of work into yourself in order to become better every single day, in order to develop. You care about your physical well-being, your mental well-being, so you're absolutely a complete person. You're absolutely whole. So never ever accept to shrink yourself in order to match with the low vibration of someone else. If it's not today, then very soon, in any case one day, you will have a person that's gonna show you what real love is, because this low effort, bare minimum behaviors are very, very, very far from real love. So why pouring your energy into these people when you know that you're gonna attract in your life someone that's gonna treat you so much better, and it's gonna give you everything that you need, everything that you deserve, and everything that you want in a relationship. I promise you that. I also had a lot of struggles growing up in order to find my person. I also had a lot of struggles sometimes recognizing my value, but when I started to refuse to accept these silly behaviors from other people, that's when my energy shifted, my energy became so much higher, and I started attracting what was meant to find me. I just had to go into that energy state, into that mind state. It would allow me to attract so much more, attract what I actually deserve in this life. So subscribe to the channel if this is what you really needed to hear today, and drop a comment and leave a like. Thank you so much for watching these videos, guys, and I see you in the next one. Bye!